Okay, so for our next talk, I'm very excited to have Lea Böhm, who's the founder of Alles Roger. And we're very excited to have her speak here. We actually personally invited her. And as you all know, it's always a difficult subject to increase diversity at technical conferences. So that's why a big thank you to Lea for coming today and telling us something about happiness and diversity at technical companies and at conferences. Thank you very much.
Hey, nice to meet you. So I'm very happy to be here. And my name is Lea. Valentina already introduced me. I'm a coach for team development. I have a background in finance. I have studied economics, and then I changed to focus on people. And now I'm supporting companies to create happier work environments where everyone feels valued and everyone has the chance to work productively and work on something where they can excel and are happy just to be in the right spot. So today, I want to talk about what it is that makes people happy and what you yourself can do to influence that and how this is linked to diversity. You can ask questions anytime. How happy do you feel today? On a scale from 1 to 10, who's above 8? That is not so many. Like, who's above 5? Okay, we definitely need to work on that. I hope by the end of the talk we are like more on a level like above 8. Okay, so happiness, as I already could tell, like I think every one of you knows what happiness is, and in general, in life, what it feels like to be happy, what it feels like to have this state of energy and just wanting to go out there and do everything and feel light and just enthusiastic about things. And then there is just very few of us who know what it actually feels like to be happy at work. There is research done by various institutes, various very smart people. And for example, the Gallup Institute, I don't know if you know it, a research institute, they found out that the percentage of people that are actually engaged and happy at work is just at 13%, which is not so much. And from looking at how happy you are right now, maybe there's some correlation to this. And I think it might also be linked to that we don't actually know like what it is that we can do to influence this and what it is that we need to be happy and what we can do about it to be happier. So I'm glad there's researchers that are taking care of this, and I can share some of the thoughts about that. And first, I want to mention something. I think it's amazing that we have actually the opportunity to be looking into happiness, because when we look back at the past 150 years, back then people were working in factories 6 days a week, 15 to 18 hours a day. So I think we are already quite happy with where we got now. And I think it's not due to like selflessness that we actually made this development, because of course there has been research and people found out why we should focus on happiness. And the findings about that are that being happy at work increases sales by 37%. It increases people's productivity by 31%, and it increases the accuracy of tasks by 19%. So I think that is pretty amazing. And I don't know if you know the institute, the Great Place to Work. It's an institute that do a yearly competition with companies all over the world, and they evaluate the company cultures and how happy everyone is in the company. They do surveys, and in the end there's a winner. And between the years 1990 and 2009, the 100 best places to work have outnumbered the revenue of the S&P 500 companies. It's a stock market index by 4 times. So being happy makes you excel and have more revenue. So it's amazing, I think. And what effects does it have on you personally? It is that you are less likely to change jobs. you're more likely to be able to develop your career and develop in your role that you have. It boosts creativity, it boosts innovation, and it enlarges the thinking patterns that you are moving in. And it also has even effects on your health. It strengthens your immune system, and you have even a longer life. And yeah, also happier people have larger social rewards, which means they have more friends, they have stronger social support, they have more activity, more energy, more flow. And also, it encourages you to work towards positive goals. So being happy is a goal in itself, I would say. Does anyone disagree? Okay. Okay, and the good news about this is that there is a scientist, a professor, a psychology professor from the University of California, Riverside. Her name is Sonja Lyubomirsky, and she found out that 50% of your level of happiness is due to your genes, 10% is due to your circumstances that you're in, and 40% is up to you, that you can influence your level of happiness. So if you're not happy now, we can totally change that. Yeah, so what are the pillars of happiness? There's a professor which is called Howard Gardner. He's the co-author of a book, The Good Work. They have done research over, I think, decades and interviewed thousands of people. And they found out that there's 3 things that actually make you happy. One of them is excellence, one of them is engagement, and one of them is ethics or purpose and meaning that you find in your life. And now what we're going to look into next thing is what the drivers of these things are. So excellence describes a state where you feel competent, where you feel effective, where you can feel that you can excel on what you're doing. You feel that you are able to reach your full potential. You feel that you are in charge of shaping your own future, and you feel that you have the freedom of choice. Engagement is much more a wider topic. Engagement is a state where it is a state of dedication. You feel dedicated to something, you feel enthusiastic about something, you feel vigor, and you feel absorption. I don't know if any of you know about flow. I cannot say the name, the author, because it's very complicated. Nice, thanks. I just always read it and I was not able to pronounce it. Thanks. Okay, so yeah, this state is achieved when there are several things that add up, which is, for example, which I already mentioned, that you feel competent and that you feel... Oh, wait. So there's 2 components of feeling engaged. There's one thing which is called you're engaged with your company, with your organization, and the other is that you feel engaged with your manager. And it's already very interesting when you look at it, because people are more likely to be engaged with their organization than to be with their manager or direct supervisor. If you look at the numbers, you don't actually leave the company if you quit a job, but you leave your manager. It's 60% and above that people leave actually their manager and not the company. So, and also when you look at the numbers, it's just 31% that are actually engaged with their manager. So it's a very low number. And the organizational engagement is related to confidence in organizational leadership, to trust that you have into the organization, to the level of fairness that you feel that you have in the organization, to the level of respect, and to the values that the company has. And then looking at the engagement with the manager, it's more or less the same thing, but on a personal level, it's always directly linked to your supervisor, and it's how valued you feel by your manager. It's about being treated fairly. It is about receiving regular feedback and direction. And it is about having a strong work relationship that is based on mutual respect. So it's very much on the human level, I would say, that makes people engaged. And ethics, the third thing I mentioned, or purpose, is about how much do you feel that it makes sense what you're doing, it has meaning what you're doing, it has a positive effect on others, and do you have a shared goal that you work on? So now the big question is, how is this related to diversity? That was what I was thinking when I was preparing this. No. It's actually that I think that gender is just one aspect that characterizes diversity, but there's much more to diversity than just gender. And also research has shown that, for example, the Gallup Institute has done research, and they found out that female managers are actually more engaged than male managers. Female managers are engaged by 41% and male managers just by 35%. I don't know why. And it is even more interesting to look at the employees that are engaged with whether they have a female or a male manager. What they found is having a female manager on average makes you 6 percentage points more likely to be engaged. And female employees are more engaged when they have, female employees are engaged when they have a female manager with average of 35%. And the least likely it is that you're engaged is if you're a male employee with a male manager, the number is just at 25%. I don't know how many of you have a male manager. So maybe this is also why none of you are happy when I asked you in the beginning. I don't know. Yeah. So there's a book author whose name is Susan Pinker. She wrote the book The Sexual Paradox, Men, Women, and the Real Gender Gap. And it focuses on how the biological sex differences play out in the workplaces. And what she found is that female employees or women in general focus more on the things that I have mentioned before, what makes us happy at work. They focus more on being happy at work, on flexibility, on having respectful work relationships, on intrinsic motivation, and on having a positive impact. I'm sure there's research that shows other things. As you all know, research is always a bit, you can stretch it here and there. But this is what she found. And for me, diversity is a whole bigger topic. It is actually about staying open. It is about staying open for other people's opinions. It's about staying open and not... So the reason for... It's when you... For example, let's say you meet someone and he or she says this and that, and like that fast, no, I've always done it this way, and that's the right thing to do. But diversity also for me includes that you stay open and that you try to listen to someone and that you actually try to hear what that person says. That you are not judging others by whatever they say, what they do, how they act, or what question they ask. Stay open and try to focus on what it is that people actually need and where people actually want to go. And this is about finding the connecting dots. Try to find the common denominator that you have with the person that you talk to. And I'm sure there is some, because there's things that everyone values in life. It's, as I already mentioned, the things, it's being respected, it's having a trustful relationships, it's feeling valued. And yeah, this is the things that you need to focus on, that you find that you have in common with a different person. And that also gives you an approach to widen your horizons. So, what is it that you can do personally to be happier at work? I think all of us have been in a situation, or are, maybe some of us are in a situation right now where you're not happy at work. And to me personally, there's always two approaches. The one approach is you can wait for others to act and do something that will make you happy eventually in the end. And I think the much healthier and better approach to do is to be proactive about it. Tell people what you need to be happy. Tell people what you need to feel respected. Tell people what they can do to show you that they value you. And communicate. Stay in dialogue with each other, and then also give back. When was the last time that you told someone thank you at work? I think this is something we can do a lot more often, and it shows the other people that you respect them and that you value them. And you can talk about expectations that I just said. Tell them what you need, ask them what they need, ask them if you should or can give feedback to someone. Ask for feedback, and then also just find the right environment for yourself. I don't know if any of you know this analogy. If you ask a fish to climb a tree, he'll never get there. So find your environment, find the ocean that you need to be in to excel and to be happy with your environment and to be happy with what you're doing. And if you're a manager, you can do several things. You can focus on the strength of your employees. Focus not on pointing out weaknesses that they have and what they did wrong or didn't do such a good job at, but just focus on strength. What was it that they did especially good today? Know what your team is working on. There was an experiment once that they checked, I don't know, there was some students and each of them had a little task to do. And there was two groups. The one was, it was just ignored what they did. And the other was, the work was shredded right in front of their eyes. And they were asked to keep on going. So these two groups were not motivated at all. And they quit after doing 2 or 3 things. And the other group, they always got it looks nice. And they just kept on going and doing it. And so know what your team is working on. If you ignore them, it's just as bad as shredding their work. And then, of course, have regular meetings with your team members, because otherwise they will not know that you know what they're working on. And help your team set performance goals, and also have check on whether they reach it or not, and be consequent about consequences and performance reviews. And this is what inspires me. And what I think is really important. So it's really just all about being happy. And if you focus on being happy at your workplace and in life, and you remember you have these 40% that you can influence, and the 10% of the circumstances makes you 50%, whew, go ahead, do it. Be happy. And this also leads to a more diverse team environment. Stay open-minded and be proactive about it. Do you have any more questions? How happy are you now, okay? Who's above 8? Okay, I think it's just 2 more hands, but it's okay. Okay, thanks.
Comments?
Thank you. Very great talk.
Thanks.
We're dealing with sports and with high-performance teams. Mm-hmm. And I think one thing you left out, this was from Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the Hungarian, from Hungarian, now living in Chicago. Mm-hmm. But what about a mission? To have a mission. Mm-hmm. If you look not to diversity, gender and so on, but you have maybe monks, yeah? Mm-hmm. Or I don't know the Apollo team, but they had an Apollo mission. Mm-hmm. To fly to the moon and bring them back within this decade. Mm-hmm. So if you have a strong mission, Of course, the Cold War and so on. But can you comment on this? Because if you have a high-performance team, whether female sport team or Olympic male team, you have a mission and you have a good motivation. And this is something also intrinsic, not also external. And one thing I miss was the word integrity.
Integrity.
If you have integrity in each person, yeah. Because if my boss is not good, I can change to the next boss. We have rotation. But sometimes I leave the company because the whole company has a culture I cannot live with. I went to the next company, same culture. It is an intrinsic problem. So maybe you can comment on this. So to have a mission, integrity, and something about flow.
Yeah.
Because flow means, in German we say fördern and fordern. This means, I don't know if you've looked, encourage and demand. Not just support and give them, but also etwas verlangen, to get back. Yeah? Maybe you can comment on this.
So the first thing you just mentioned was the mission. Yes, true, for me it also belongs to having a shared goal. And I don't know, like your question was now in particular how it influences the motivation of people? It does influence it. If you don't know what you're working on as a team, I mean, having goals in general is something that is, I don't say it's natural that you know how to set goals. For example, you could say, I don't know, it's always the same thing, I want to increase revenue. Or I want to be a better company. But then if you don't know what exactly it is, then there's not much sense in pursuing it. And for having a shared mission, it is also as having a shared goal. It's if you set a team, like if you as a manager, for example, set a team, like you just say, you increase revenue now by 50%. This is not something that people are going to work on because it doesn't belong to them. It's not something that they put thought in. It's not something that they like want to contribute to because it doesn't belong to them. It's something like someone else told them to do, but it's, yeah, as you already mentioned, it's not intrinsic. You have to be able to pursue your own career and be able to be in charge and have the freedom of choice. And that is also that it is that you have to have the ability to contribute something. And the other was integrity. And by that you mean that you do what you believe in, or? For me, it is that you act to the things that you believe in. That is, for example, if I believe the company is shit, for example, and I don't want to be part of it, I am proactive about it and I pursue my next career step. I keep on going and I'm looking out for something that I'm really into and that I really enjoy. For that, it's important to be able to reflect on yourself and know, as I just mentioned, the fish in the water, to know your environment, that the right environment that you need to have this flow. Flow is something, it's the person Mihal, yeah, he did research on that, wrote several books about it. I read one of them, and it's flow is a state of mind where you are, like, you don't think about what you're doing anymore and you're just in the zone. And they found it they looked at sports, and they found it when, for example, people that are climbing a mountain are out it's like a dangerous situation, you can kill yourself and you don't think anymore. You just completely lose yourself in the moment. You stop looking at the watch, of course, you're in the mountains, and you lose it. And this is a state of mind that he says is the base that we need at work to be motivated, that we need to reach.
So I actually have a quick comment on that.
Yeah.
So I really like State of Flow, and I think that like a lot of people in the audience who program are very much aware of like this flow, and the generating flow is sort of when you just lose time and suddenly, you know, it's like the sun rises and you've been programming all night because it was so exciting.
Yeah.
This is like a state of flow, and it's very common sort of amongst programmers. And I was wondering whether you have any figures on whether like open space offices are beneficial to flow, or whether they interrupt flow, and whether like open space offices are sort of make people happier or whether they make people less happy. Because I've heard two sides of the story. The one side is the open space office is really important because it brings people together and it enables collaboration. And the other story is the open space office is actually really detrimental to my flow, is because it's always loud, everyone is talking around me, and I can't find my state of flow because there's like always so much going on around me, and like I have all these context switches because people come up to me and ask me. So do you have any maybe figures or maybe some research you know about on open space offices?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of if I had both sides of stories, but lately I just read something that when people are asked how they could be more productive or where they would rather work, it's not in open space. But I personally also think that it's good to enhance communication within the team. But also for this, there's several approaches to do it. If it could be like flexible desks, or that you rotate within the team, or that's just one person who, like from your team, goes to see other teams, so that you are aware of what's going on in other teams and you can enhance internal communication.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't like open space offices that much, and I prefer like small offices with 2 or 3 people and sort of having an open door policy. If the door is open, you can come in and interrupt me. I'm free for context switches. And if the door is closed, you know, I'm in a state of flow and I'm busy coding.
And also, I've just read something that is also like interesting. Is someone asked people where it's like the best place where they can work. And I think most people just answered at home. And at home, it's that people are not interrupted. You don't have to check your emails. You don't feel obliged to respond to anyone who's around you. And I think it's important that we are able to create something within the team that actually gives you the opportunity to feel, not to feel at home, but to have the same setting. For example, have a no meeting Monday or no meetings on Thursday day. You can like rebuild this home office kind of thing at the office itself too. Don't check your emails so often. Don't be on the chat online all the time. Figure it out. And don't let other people pressure you into being available.
Different from the subject, I actually like the part when actually about asking for feedback. So, you know, sometimes when you ask for feedback, like you got that things in your heart. How about if I heard something negative? And of course, nobody want to hear something negative. So how do you think you can actually phrase the question or requesting for feedback and just making sure you will receive something constructive instead of something destructive? So how can you phrase that?
I think a good approach would be, I was just thinking of an example that would relate to you, but I don't know if I can. For example, if you are doing something for a certain reason, okay? For example, you, I don't know, went to GitHub and forked something or whatever it is, and you ask someone for feedback, and if you just ask, how do you think I did this and that? They probably just gonna say, I would have done it differently. I think you could have done this better, this better, this better, this better, and I didn't like it. But if you say, I did this and that to get to a state that this new feature was working, and I really put especially focus on having a clear code because I don't want to review it so many more times, whatever. When you explain what it was actually that you're aiming for, and then you can ask, how do you think I could have gotten there faster or easier? It's be precise about what did you want, and then ask a question. Not ask, what do you think how I did? Ask for a specific advice of how could I have done it faster? How could I have done it easier? Could I have sat down before and thought about it to have it easier or something? Or how could I have used the resources from the team better to get there faster? What could I have done to get your input on that? Like, ask a precise question on how you can improve instead of just asking, give me feedback, or how did I do? Because it's not about judging others. And when you ask for judgment, they're going to judge you, and they're probably not going to be nice. So just ask for a specific thing that they can give you advice on and how you can improve.
So I think we have time for one more comment.
Maybe I can comment on this because we're dealing with sports, and this means high-performance teams. There's a slogan. This means errors are our best friends because we learn from them. If you look for children, playing means they fall down and like they're learning, or robots, machine learning. Yeah. So a mistake is not a fault, is not bad. Yeah. So you have to have this culture, and I think if you have the flow, you can easily explain it, especially for scientists, data scientists. If you have X, Y, that Koordinatensystem, yeah, the one is the ability to climb or swim or something. Another thing is a task you have to solve. And in the middle you have the corridor of flow. So if you are a high potential and you have a low task, you're boring. So you're not in flow. Yeah. If it is too high, you are overstressed. And there's also something like stress, and there's de-stress and eustress. And I think it's also very dangerous if you're very motivated, you know, and this eustress is going to distress. You lose the control. Where is this? So therefore it's good feedback from external, or you have guidance. So the time I go for training, I go out, or I have a meeting, but a meeting not for work, but to make something other, to get your mind free. And I think we can learn from this from kids, yeah, and from sports. And this is a very interesting topic, I think. Well, thank you for a great talk.
Thanks.